What's going down, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and the successor to the HTC EVO 4G is finally here. Here it is, HTC EVO 3D. Now the question remains, is this one going to be as popular as the original one? Because we really look back, when the original EVO 4G came out, there weren't a whole lot of high-end Android phones, and now there are. So can it make waves in an already crowded Android market? I think it can. We're going to find out more in the full review. First, special thanks to our guys at Best Buy. They hooked us up with a bunch of phones. I'm sure they're going to hook us up with some of these in the future. When you go in to get this on Friday, you're going to walk out working. They'll help you set up your web, your email, and more. But let's check it out. HTC EVO 3D. Is this the phone to get? Should you go with the Nexus S 4G, or should you go with the HTC EVO 4G, given the fact that they're going to discount it starting on Friday? Let's find out in the full review. 1 year later, the EVO 4G is still a popular device. It's still selling relatively well, but it was time for replacement. Here's the HTC EVO 3D. This is replacing the 4G as top-line Android device in the EVO line. Now, obviously, it's a 4G device. It would be a little bit challenging to say HTC EVO 3D 4G on the sales floor. Can you imagine that? HTC EVO 3D 4G. Say that 3 times fast. But in terms of specs, well-spec'd, high-end, and definitely ready for the times, if that makes any sense. 1.2 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon processor, so it's a dual-core device. It's a Snapdragon processor, and it's 1.2 gigahertz to boot. 4.3-inch display. It's a QHD display, and it's a stereoscopic QHD display. So for the 3D content, no glasses required, which is a big pro. Now you'll notice that this one's a little bit taller, a little bit more narrow than the original EVO 4G. It's a little bit skinnier, and you can see, holding those up side by side, you can see it's a little bit taller and not as beefy on the side. So a little bit easier to hold in the hand and grip while you're on a phone call. But dual 5-megapixel cameras on the back that are capable of shooting video excuse me, at 720p, no 1080p, which is interesting. This was actually an issue in the press release. The original press release said it could shoot video at 1080p in 2D. Not the case. In both 2D and 3D, it can shoot at a maximum of 720p. But anyway, dual cameras there to take advantage of that 3D content. A 1,730 milliamp hour battery here behind the hood, or under the hood rather, and let's pull this off so you can see what that looks like. And here's what it looks like without the battery door. Now you have an 8 gigabyte micro SD card pre-installed as well. And overall, it's a really nice device. It feels great in the hand. I like this, and this is something that was interesting when I first felt it at CTIA in Orlando earlier in the year. I thought this was plastic. It's actually metal. The front housing here is a metal, and it feels good. It's lightweight. And then the battery door, I love. This is one of my biggest pet peeves about the original EVO. The battery door was very flimsy on this device. You press in the middle, you could feel it wobbling, and that's because it doesn't wrap around the sides. Now the EVO 3D's battery cover, and I actually said this in an article after I had some first hands-on time with it at CTIA, it's nice that the battery door wraps all the way around because it makes it just so much better, or better feel in the hand. You have a nice big camera button over here. You know how much I love my physical camera button. And then you have the ability to toggle between 2D and 3D content. So you want to switch over to 3D, pop it up. If you want to take it down to 2D, you can make the switch right there. So micro USB charging port up here, which is nice. They moved it up to the top so you can text message while the phone's being charged and you're not interfering with the cable. 3.5 millimeter headphone jack up here. Power button, super sensitive. I mean, super sensitive power button. I don't know if it's just my unit, but you can see, watch, slide across. It's that easy to activate the power button. I mean, it is one of the lightest power buttons and most sensitive I've ever worked with. It has a nice texturized battery door here. All in all, it just feels great in the hand. Now, it's running Android 2.3 with HTC Sense 3.0. So out of the gate, it's running the latest version right now, the latest published version of Android 2.3, and it's running HTC's newest version of their Sense user interface, version 3.0. Now you'll notice some changes to this as opposed to the EVO 4G or even Sense 2.0, which is what the Inspire 4G, the HTC Thunderbolt on Verizon Wireless, what they're running. So you can see that the carousel animation is definitely something new here, and you see it from the lock screen as well. The lock screen's new. Gone is the sliding down thing, pushing it down to activate. You take the circle and you either pull it up, or you can bring down one of your quick access applications here. Like let's say I wanted to access, well, just for example, Gmail. I bring down Gmail and it brings up my Gmail right away. Now you can change those, which is cool. We'll get into the personalization in just a minute, but very, very cool to do that. And then volume rocker over here on the right side. So a difference there. Carousel is obviously a difference. And then a couple of other things. You'll see that the menu application button, or the menu button rather, has changed slightly. You'll see that the notifications bar, this was evident in Sense 2.0, but you'll see this little difference down here where you can click over to the different tab that says Quick Settings and access things like 4G, mobile network, Sprint hotspot, Wi-Fi, and more, excuse me, all from the notifications bar. And then you can access your file manager here, which I like, or your task manager rather. Instead of downloading something like Advanced Task Killer or something else, HTC now has a built-in task manager that's easily accessible from the notification bar. So I go over here, I just hit Kill All, I refresh, and you can see that the memory, I have 380 megabytes of memory that's free now. So 1 gigabyte of RAM on this device, which is nice, and it's really a noticeable difference from something like the Sensation, which only has 768 megabytes of RAM, of which about 525 of that is in use. So something to keep in mind there. But anyway, Android 2.3, Sense 3.0, some nice changes under the hood. Into the all apps, you can see here a little bit of a different menu structure. Instead of scrolling down one line by one line, when I push down, it takes page by page. So it scrolls down page by app page, and you can see this little bar over here that shows you which page you're on. So we can see here some stuff I've installed. Obviously, Advanced Task Killer came over from some previous Android builds. You know, it brings over all your applications in Android 2.3. 3D games, let's see here, HTC Hub and HTC Likes, two things that I love, and it's nice that Sprint decided to preserve those on the HTC EVO 3D. Basically, HTC Hub is a personalization tool where you can go to HTC's website and download additional wallpapers, additional ringtones, additional themes, and more to make your device you. So, you know, HTC's theme is you, and if you watch the commercials, you can see that it's all about customization and making the device the way you want it to be made. So HTC Hub and HTC Likes definitely contributes to that cause. So you can see media share as well, and we can scroll down through here and see quick video pre-installed, Spider-Man 3D, Sprint hotspot, Sprint mobile, excuse me, I have a frog in my throat, Sprint radio, Sprint TV and movies, Sprint zone, and then Telenav GPS navigator, and then the Green Hornet 3D pre-installed as well. So you get a free movie out of the box, and then you get all your Sprint stuff like mobile wallet, radio, TV and movies, and Sprint zone. So quite a bit pre-installed. And then down here you can see, you can scroll over, this is something new to Sense 3.0, where you can scroll over, see frequent, and you can scroll over and see downloaded as well. Actually, I shouldn't say that, it's not just 3.0, it was in Sense 2.1 as well, which is what the Incredible 2, the Droid Incredible 2 is running. So it is relatively new. Something newer from 2.0, but it is in one other software build just before this. But still, a nice improvement there, and you can see some minor changes here to the icon. You still have your 7 home screens, despite the fact that the carousel animation is slightly different. Now, one thing I love about Sense, and I've always loved about Sense, but they've really improved in 3.0, is personalization. I mean, they've just really taken it to the next level with personalization. You have the ability not only to change the wallpaper and of course the ringtones and things like that, but you also can change the lock screen and the skin as well. So you see this blue up here, I have it set on blue sky. I can click here and rotate through the original HTC theme. I can go to burgundy if I want to and change that color, or I can get more, and that's where the, I'm not sure what just happened, I guess it just reset, but that's where HTC Hub comes in, and you can take advantage of, I must have pressed it by accident, it must have switched back to one of the themes, but you can do that. Okay, burgundy, that's what popped up. So we'll just leave it on burgundy for now, but you can hit get more if you want to, and access HTC Hub and download additional skins and additional themes and wallpapers rather, and things like that. So the lock screen, this is a big change. You have several different options for the lock screen. You can make it just the wallpaper, you can make it your photo album, your friend stream, your weather, which is what I have it set on, so when I turn it on, it automatically brings up the weather for wherever I'm located, stocks, and clock as well. So just a lot of options there. And then you may be wondering, you know, how do you change the applications, you know, your frequently used applications? Well, you can change those yourself by going to settings, and I can tap any of these and change them. I happen to use Gmail, People, and Messages the most, so that's why I have those. But let's just say I want to change Messages over to Calendar. I can do that, and then if I wanted to save that, I could hit Done, and it would access, and hit Apply, and it would access or would change that over to that. Other than that, same widgets are very similar widgets. HTC has their own set of widgets, and then the Android ones are pre-installed here as well. So in the case of something like Calendar, you'll see HTC and Android. Android one's pretty boring, pretty plain Jane. You go to Calendar on HTC, and you get a couple of different options. You get a month view, an agenda view, and then a shortened day view as well. So a lot of different options on the widgets. They're not customizable completely like Moto Blur's widgets, or whatever Motorola is calling it now, applications platform. Don't let them hear you call it Moto Blur, because apparently they're dropping that. But you do get a lot of customization in terms of being able to change, look at 3 or 4 different widgets and make the choice on your own as to which one you want. In the messages we go, let's take a look, and you can see here's another change that comes with Sense 3.0. It's a little bit different than the older versions of Sense. The messaging displays a little bit differently. We can go in here into a new message and we'll add text. Now it brings up the Sense keyboard here, and you can see, hey there, how are you doing? Thanks. Or that's no fun. The quick brown fox. The quick brown fox is hungry. Quick brown fox is hungry, and so you have that keyboard, and then you have swipe as well. So touch input, which is HTC's keyboard, and then swipe pre-installed as well, if that's your thing. So you do have 2 options out of the box, and then of course here's what it looks like. I swung that over in landscape like I thought it was gonna change, but it's not, because I keep that turned off. So let's go to display, turn auto rotate on. Everybody's always like, why don't you like that? It's just frustrating to me to have that turned on. But anyway, 4.3-inch display, and it's a nice long 4.3-inch display, so it should make it relatively easy for people with large thumbs to type on the keyboard. And particularly given the good auto correction history that HTC's has, you should have no problem with the keyboard.